Welcome back to the Stay Broke podcast, the show not only for small businesses, but also for the people who help them grow. Today we're joined by Mayor Vivian Jones of Wake Forest, North Carolina. As a former business owner, it is no surprise her level of involvement and partnership with Wake Forest Downtown Inc., the Wake Forest Chamber of Commerce, and Launch Wake Forest. We appreciate her taking the time to sit down with me today, even as Election Day approaches. If re-elected, Mayor Jones will enter her 7th consecutive term. Though we are not a political channel, there is still plenty to discuss in relationship to small businesses in Wake Forest. Mayor Vivian, welcome to the Stay Broke podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
We appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy right now. One thing I just wanted to start with is as I started to look into you, and before that, how approachable you are and how accessible you are. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure a lot of the people in the community do too. Every event that I've been to downtown, pretty much every meeting I've been to, you always make an appearance in some form or another. And I actually had to look further to try and find your email because your phone number is the first thing to pop up. So I really appreciate your accessibility.
Thank you.
So I guess start with just kind of who you are, a little bit about your background, where you're from.
Okay.
Anything that you can share with us about that?
I grew up in North Carolina in Randolph County, which is over in the middle of the state, if you're not familiar with that. Asheboro is in Randolph County, so that's the location. And but I grew up out in the country, in the northern end of the county, and my father was a commercial flooring contractor, and he actually did all the floors in Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem when the college moved to Winston-Salem, which is kind of ironic that then I become the mayor of Wake Forest. But anyway, we had a big garden, and we raised most of our food, and my mama was a great gardener, and so we picked beans and froze them and canned them and did all that kind of stuff. So then when I graduated from high school, I went to Women's College, which is now UNCG.
Wow.
But back in the day, women couldn't go to UNC Carolina at Chapel Hill until they were juniors. So Carolina had a women's college in Greensboro, and women would go there for a couple of years and then transfer. But I went there, and I took a course that they had at that time, which was a 1-year secretarial course. And when I got out of that, finished that, I got married shortly thereafter. And another fun fact for me, and interesting fact is that my first job when I finished the course was in Greensboro for a law firm, Smith, Moore, Smith, Shell, and Hunter. They had a woman who was going out on maternity leave, and so I took her job for a few months while she was on maternity leave. And the guy that I worked for was Jim Exum, who later became Chief Justice of the North Carolina Supreme Court. But anyway, I got married, and we moved to different states and towns. We lived in St. Louis for a while, and just outside of Toledo for a while, Williamsburg, Virginia, and Orlando, Florida, and then came back to North Carolina. And I came to Wake Forest. My husband came to go to the seminary, and so we moved here. He finished the seminary. Unfortunately, we divorced at that time. And I stayed in Wake Forest because my daughter was in high school at that time. And I thought, well, I'll wait till she graduates and then figure out what I'm going to do. And my sister decided she was kind of in a midlife crisis at the same time. So she was a vice president of a bank in Asheboro. So she quit her job and moved to Wake Forest, and we started a business. catering and a restaurant and a catering business. And it was kind of crazy. I don't recommend other people do this, but neither one of us had ever worked in a restaurant before. But we like to cook. We like to entertain, so we thought, oh, of course, everybody thinks they can run a restaurant. So we started a restaurant. We were very fortunate because we have a niece who had spent quite a few years in Atlanta working for a restaurant company. And she had moved back to North Carolina at that point. So she came and lived with us for about 6 months and helped us get started. I don't think we would have managed if it hadn't been for her. She taught us how to handle everything. So, I mean, I could cook, and so I wasn't worried about the cooking, but it was all the other stuff that we had to do. She helped us train our waiters and waitresses, and so anyway, we had the business for about, we had the restaurant for about 10 years, and then we closed the restaurant and had a kitchen shop, and we sold a few, kitchen utensil stuff. But we continued to cook the things that were favorites of our customers, and we would cook them and freeze them. So, we would freeze meatloaf and chicken casseroles and desserts and all that kind of stuff, and people would come and pick them up and take them home. We were the first pick up and take home place in Wake Forest.
Ahead of your time.
And and we continued to cater at that point. But we were very active in downtown at that point. My sister, Johnny, was the chair of the Wake Forest Downtown Group. It was called the Downtown Revitalization Corporation at that time, but she was the chair of that at one point. And but we tried to do everything we could. Wake Forest was starting to grow at that time. This was in the early 90s, and so we were working very hard to try to do what we could to encourage development in downtown. And so, some things came up, and I decided to run for the town board. So I was elected as a commissioner, and 2 years later, the mayor said that he wasn't going to run, and I ran because I had seen that Wake Forest didn't have the support and the connections from the county and the state that I thought we were going to need as we were beginning to grow. So I said I was going to run, and I was going to build relationships with people in town, but also with county and state leaders. And so that's what I concentrated on my first term.
Okay.
But when I got elected to the town board, I was the chief cook. So I didn't have time to cook anymore. So we closed the restaurant. We closed the business at that point in time.
Okay. Where was the restaurant located?
It was on Jones Street,
Okay.
which is right downtown, in an old house. It was actually, and someone had tried a restaurant there before. And so there was a little bit of a kitchen kind of thing there. But I think they had a restaurant there for just a few months and had closed it. But it was an old house that, it was kind of an interesting place.
There weren't too
It
many.
has been turned down. Actually, after we closed our restaurant, the people, we never owned that property, but the people who owned it gave the fire department an opportunity to burn down the house for practice. So the house isn't there anymore.
Okay. There weren't too many restaurants at that time in Wake Forest, right?
There weren't.
Probably
And
Shorty's.
Yeah.
Was the Forks there yet?
Oh,
But
yeah.
They were up
the
at
Forks
Key
was
Store,
was
right?
there. Well, well, the Forks was downtown by that
Okay.
time also, but there weren't many restaurants, and there weren't any really nice restaurants, and our restaurant was named Jovi's. It was for Johnny and Vivian.
Okay.
Jovi's Kitchen and Catering was the name of our business, and it was. We had white tablecloths and cloth napkins, and so it was very nice. It wasn't fancy, but it was very nice, and it was really kind of the only restaurant like that in town at that time. So, and we would do things like we would have a big Valentine's dinner every year, where it would be like a price fixed meal, and you'd have maybe a couple of choices, and then we would have a big New Year's Eve dinner, and those were very popular. We always sold out on those. People came and bring friends and so forth, and it was a lot of fun. We had a good time. I'll never forget one night, and we always made it. We said we were not going to be one of those places where they sing "Happy Birthday" to you. And so a couple of friends of ours that were there, two couples, one night, and it was his. He said he thought that the cook should always come out and speak to people and sing songs and sing happy birthdays and that kind of thing. So he had been giving me a hard time. So one night when they were there, I went out and I sang, "I'm a little teapot, short and stout, Here is my handle, here's my spout." They still talk about that. We had a great time.
What was the idea of getting into the restaurants? Just that you like cooking, or was there a need, or?
Well, we just wanted to do some kind of business, and so we were thinking, well, what can we do? What kind of business can we do? And we decided since we could cook, and my mother was a wonderful cook, and she taught me and my sister, and so and like I say, we like to entertain, so we thought that'd be a good thing to do. So.
It's a very common story. We've been talking about restaurants a bit on the channel just because they have a high failure rate. And,
Yes.
And I think that's a big part of the reason why people are like, well, I can cook.
Yes.
And everybody needs to eat.
Exactly.
And it should work, but then there's a whole business to it that you need to understand.
Absolutely.
With low margins and everything else.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. It's a lot more complicated than it seems. Unfortunately, and I tell, we were not a big success, but we did pay our bills. We paid our bills, and we were able to, eat.
in the restaurant industry, that's a big success, I think.
Yeah, if you can pay your bills, that's a success.
Yeah. I worked in the restaurant industry. I grew up in restaurants, and then eventually became a head chef at an Italian restaurant in Pittsburgh, and just grew up around it. But by the time I got through that experience, I was like, this is not what I want to do.
Well, we had some really wonderful experiences, and had some great people that worked with us, and one of my favorite stories, and if this is too much for you.
No, it's great.
One of my favorite stories was we had a man who worked with us, Spencer. He started out as the dishwasher, and then I started using him to help me cook, and then we would cater lunches for businesses sometimes, and we had one company that called on us quite frequently to cater, and so Spencer would take the lunches to the place and serve them, and we didn't do big things.
Right.
50 it would be the biggest, probably mostly 20 people maybe. So he would take the stuff and serve it, and one one day he took it to this company that we went to lots of times, and it was in the fall, getting close to Thanksgiving, and we had fixed a chicken casserole and some other stuff, but we had cranberry salad, which my grandmother had made the best cranberry salad, so we still make that. And and so the president of this company, who had come from out of town to be there for this meeting, and so he was there. So they were getting lunch, and he came in. He didn't get any cranberry salad, and Spencer said, "You have to have some of Miss Vivian's cranberry salad." and the guy says, "Well, I don't think I want some." He says, "No, you have to have some. It's a requirement." So he did. He took some, and he came back and got seconds. So I always thought, Spencer was a good guy.
Running a small business, do you think that helped kind of shape your direction? And I guess going into the Board of Commissioners, did it give you a different perspective, or like how did that kind of shape the direction that you thought the town needed to go?
Well, I think it did make me realize that the town needed to do more support for businesses. I was always one of the things that I thought about when I became a commissioner and then later a mayor. When we had our business and we would go to events in town, that the chamber events or the ones that downtown put together, very seldom did you see the commissioners or the mayor there. I just didn't feel like they supported the businesses, and so when I got on the board, I said, "No, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna show up."
Yeah.
If I'm there and somebody needs something, then they'll feel more comfortable talking with me rather than calling me and coming to see me on a special thing. Just talk to me. I'm there. And so I do think that made a big difference in my approach to it.
I was wondering, in politics, is there any similarities between the mindset of being an entrepreneur and being in politics?
Well, I hadn't thought about that, but there probably is.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you have to make your own way, whatever. So you find people that you admire that have succeeded, and you try to emulate them to some extent. And I think business people do that. So I think, you're right.
And then the networking, of course, that's a big part of it that you already mentioned.
Absolutely.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd never really thought about that either, but it makes sense. So I guess, can you kind of explain what the Board of Commissioners is and kind of their duties and what the mayor's duties are as well?
Right, sure. Well, we operate under what is called the the manager council form of government. There's a mayor council and there's a manager council. And what that means is that the council adopts policy. And then we hire a manager who carries out that policy, who actually runs the town. The manager hires the employees. He's responsible for making sure that the employees are hired and are doing the job that he wants done, that the board wants done.
All right.
So the board adopts the policy. Now in Wake Forest, this isn't true in all towns, but a lot of towns, the mayor does not vote. And so the the charter of the town says that the mayor runs the town board meetings. The mayor can appoint committees, and the mayor does not vote unless there's a tie, which doesn't happen very often because we have 5 commissioners. But the thing that I've always held on to the most is it says the mayor is to stay apprised of all the business of the town. And so, I try to understand what's going on in the government of the town, and I can certainly influence that by conversation and encouragement of the board and the manager and that kind of thing. So I feel like I've done a lot of that kind of thing over the time. But it's also, I feel it's very important to know what's going on in the community. And so, I've had people say, well, why don't you go to everything? Because I want to stay apprised of the business of the town.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to do that. So that's kind of what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't understand what different elected officials do.
Yes.
And it's important to know, one, for like who to approach whenever you need help figuring something out.
Right.
Or even who to blame and pointing the blame in the right direction, right? It's just
Right.
people get carried away and start pointing fingers. And
Yes. Well, and I think it's very, I feel like I have to be very supportive of the board, and I was talking to somebody about that the other day, and I went to the School of Government. The North Carolina School of Government has a class for newly elected mayors. And so when you're, and they, give you some guidance on what you should do and that kind of thing. And so one of the things that they said, which I'm not sure a lot of mayors follow this, but one of the things they said is if you don't vote, you really shouldn't make a big presentation of what your opinion is. If you'll notice, if you've ever looked at our board meetings, there are times when I say, well, I think this. I'll make a statement or two. But I don't make a big presentation about what I think the board should, how I think the board should vote.
Okay.
Because of what I learned at that school. And they said if there's something that you feel very passionate about, that you want to make a big speech about, they said you should give your gavel to the mayor pro tem, and you should go around and speak to the board as a citizen of the town.
Okay.
Because you don't vote, so you're a citizen when you're making those comments.
Yeah.
And so I have tried to follow that, and I've only done that one time, but if the board makes a decision that I don't really agree with, I support the board.
Yeah.
Because it's their job to make that decision.
Yeah.
And if the majority of them have voted for that, then I support what they have done because they've done what they think is best for the town.
I mean, that's leadership. I know that's a lesson that I was a youth minister for years, and that's something that I tried to get my youth that were on different committees and stuff to understand. And like, I can remember one specific instance where the church was making a vote or having a vote for a big financial commitment, and I didn't agree with it. And so I voted against it, but then felt necessary to explain to the kids why why I'm voting against it, but also that like no matter how everybody else votes, it's not about me winning or losing. I still need to support them. I'm just letting them know how I feel about it. And I think with everything being so, split and like just people being so ugly online, it's just it's something that I feel like the youth aren't seeing enough of right now.
Exactly.
And that troubles me. It bothers me.
Yeah, it does me too.
Yeah.
It does me too.
So you've been mayor since 2001, right?
That's correct.
I bet you've seen some change, and I mean, even before that, what year did you say you moved here?
I moved here in 1981.
Oh wow, okay.
So when I moved here, there were like a little less than 5,000 people living here.
Wow.
There was nothing here. I mean, it was, we had a couple of small grocery stores. We had a store, one of the variety wholesaler stores was here. And there was, very little stuff here. And actually after I moved, when I moved here, the department store was still here, which you may not even know that there was
yeah.
And but it closed right after I moved here, and Bolus's was open, but they closed, and so we were in pretty bad shape at that time. But it had started, as I said, in the 90s. Right. It did kind of start to grow, and when I was elected mayor, we had 12,000 people living here. So it had grown from 81 to 2001. It had grown, about 7,000 people. So since 2000, I was reading this statistic the other day. Since the year 2000, from 2000 to 225, we grew 336%.
Wow.
So we're now at about 62,000.
Okay. And is that just in the Wake Forest proper, like the downtown?
Yes, just in the town limits. Yes. Now there's a big, our retail area is about 231,000 people.
Right.
That actually come and buy or could come and buy here.
And that's expanded, I guess, because of different annexations and different things over the years.
All around us, it's growing.
Yeah.
And of course, part of that is North Raleigh too. Is considered part of our retail area.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, well, because people, it's a mileage kind of thing all around, that they consider.
I gotcha. And then I know Wake Forest is still connected into Raleigh in different ways too, right? With the utilities and some of the infrastructure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's something that, we do in our utility company.
Right.
We have to consider Wake Forest part of Raleigh for that kind of stuff, but then, different.
The water and sewer,
Yeah.
we merged with them a number of years ago.
I hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. We're so fortunate to be able to book such amazing guests, but booking a guest every week is proving to be a real challenge. And one of the biggest things keeping us from continuing to book amazing guests is they're waiting to see our channel get a little bit bigger and for the interviews to get shared a lot more. So please help us out just by giving this a quick share. If you're enjoying the content, give it a like. This will help get this story out to a lot more people and help us to continue to book amazing guests so we can keep bringing this info and entertainment to you and doing the most we can with this opportunity we have. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the interview. What are some of the changes that you've seen with small businesses and support in your time there? I know you said in the beginning there wasn't a lot of support for small business from the town. What's evolved?
Well, I think we have, and when I say there wasn't a lot of support for the businesses, I think it was mainly moral support rather than what they needed to do to open a business. But I think that we have a fantastic staff that works for the town, and they really do try to help as much as they possibly can. And I think that the government as a whole is more concerned about making sure that businesses are able to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
And I tell people if you're having an issue with the town, you let me know.
Right. A lot of entrepreneurs, I feel like, in this area are new entrepreneurs. They're coming in trying to start a business for the first time, and they don't know where to go or how to start.
Right.
And like a big part of what we're trying to do here is tell people about different resources and opportunities that are out there. And that's what led us to meeting with like Brad Walker from Launch Wake Forest and different things, because there's so many resources out there, and it's so easy to get overwhelmed now. You search online for anything, and the first 5 results are going to be paid ads, and then you got to weed through that to trying to, get to the meat of it and figure out what opportunities are really here.
Yes.
What are a couple like important processes, or what are a couple important steps that entrepreneurs should start with if they're just moving to the area?
Well, first of all, I want to say I'm. And I've said this many times, and I'm really proud to say Wake Forest is a town of small businesses. We're not ever going to have a big business, and I'm really happy with that.
Yeah.
I don't want a big factory coming in. I love having the small businesses, and we do have a lot of entrepreneurs here, and I think that having the co-working spaces downtown has helped with that.
Yeah.
And I was really excited when the Rotary started the Launch Wake Forest program. I thought that was great. And now we have another program like that that's called the Founders, Wake Forest Founders. Have you heard about that?
It was mentioned, but I don't know much about it.
Well, I don't know a lot of the details either, but I can tell you where to go to find out.
Okay.
It was actually started by the Wake Forest Business and Industry Partnership and the loading dock, and maybe Riot was involved in that some too, but it's the same kind of program that Launch Wake Forest is, except it's for people who are a little farther along, maybe, and in the business. But you can contact Jason Cannon, who is the Business and Industry Partnership, who's the Economic Development Director for the town of Wake Forest.
Okay.
And that you can contact him. They have a cohort going on right now, and they have, it works kind of the same way. They have classes. And they have a guy from Wake Tech who comes in and teaches the classes, and then at the end of that they have a pitch night where they select 2 or 3 or 4 people to come in and do a pitch, and they actually give them money.
Oh, okay.
So they can get, I think, up to $5,000 or something like that. Or maybe they have an amount of money and then they give what they think to whoever. You may get more than $5,000.
Right.
But anyway, it's a lot of fun to go to those pitch nights too and see, hear what they're saying. So, but that is another option for entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So particularly for entrepreneurs who actually have had their business for a little while and they need to step it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And need that extra push and help. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good resource. What's your involvement with the Chamber of Commerce?
Well, not a whole lot at this point, except just supporting what they're doing.
Okay.
I go to all the things that I can go to that they're doing, and just support them. And whenever they have a leadership, Wake Forest leadership group that they have every year, and I always go and talk with them and offer my support or help or however I can help them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people get get it misconstrued, like what the different resources are for, like what the chamber is, and then, but they do such a great job of like putting themselves out there
Right.
and being seen. That's one of the first things that I feel like a lot of business owners go to. Whereas like Launch Wake Forest and the founders, like I just found out about Launch Wake Forest a couple months ago. I'd never heard of it, and I've been an entrepreneur
Right.
in the town for
Right.
Years,
Right.
and trying to get those resources out there because what they offer is completely different, and people need to understand that. I feel like a lot of people sign up for like the Chamber of Commerce, for example, and they think that it's just some magic button that you push it and now everybody in there is going to come
Right.
in and support you and start using your products or your services,
Right.
and it's just going to fix things. But
Well, it's a different kind. It's a different kind of thing. It's important at some point to be a member of the chamber and to network with everyone, and because they do support each other. The businesses do support each other, but it's not where you go. In my opinion, it's not where you go to learn how to run your business.
Right.
Generally, it has not been.
Yeah.
And but I do think that the chamber now, Jim Thompson is now the director of the president of the chamber, and I think that he has talked with Brad Walker at Launch Wake Forest, and I think they want to be more involved.
Okay.
And which I think is a great thing.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a great thing. So I'm glad that's happening.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier. Everything starts working together a little bit more and helping each other out.
Absolutely.
And I know that's the direction that they're all heading. And even like the chamber, I know they've had some struggles over the last few years, but they've had different programs that inside the chamber that weren't necessarily working together,
right?
And it could be
Exactly.
confusing. And now they're making some changes there and trying to make
Yeah.
everything run together and make a little bit more sense.
I think that they're doing a good job getting things straightened out there. So
yeah, we just joined back up. That was the event that we saw you at last week was the first event that we've been at since we've been back into it.
Yeah.
So just, trying to get people to understand that those are the kind of organizations that you get out of it what you put into it.
Exactly.
And it's, like you said, networking. And that's the biggest thing you're going to get out of it is being able to build your network and meet other local entrepreneurs and business owners. Are there any things that you see that maybe Wake Forest is lacking as far as support for business owners, or any major hurdles that you see?
I don't really think so. I think I think businesses are getting a lot of support, and particularly small businesses and entrepreneurs. I think are. One of the things the chamber is doing is they're with their Meet in the Street. They're having the young entrepreneur event at the Meet in the Street where they have the kids come in that are doing stuff, and I think that's just great that they're encouraging that kind of thing. And so anytime that we can highlight or encourage and spotlight what entrepreneurs are doing, I think it's great. And one of the things that are you familiar with the Wireless Research Center?
No.
Well, that's someone you might want to talk with someday too. We just celebrated their 15th year here in Wake Forest. But Gerard Hayes, who is the president of the Wireless Research Center, came to me about maybe 18 years ago. And he worked for Sony Ericsson, and when they moved from RTP, he lived in Wake Forest, but when they moved from RTP and went back to California, he said he didn't want to go. Yeah. So he left them and stayed here, and he got another job. But he had this idea to start a testing facility, a wireless testing facility, because that's what his his expertise was in, and he was, I understood from what I read and studied about at that point in time, he was like one of the top 20 wireless people in the world at that time. And he had this idea to start a testing facility here in Wake Forest, but he needed help. So he came to me and said, would the town be willing to help with this? Well, I thought it was a great idea. And what he wanted to do was have this, I don't know what they call it, but it's this facility that tests wireless devices like your phone and that kind of stuff. Because that was just, 18 years ago, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
So anyway, I said I thought we should work with him. And so I kept talking it up to the board and to the town manager. And, we talked it up. And I actually introduced him to Dan Gerlach, who was the head of the Golden Leaf Foundation at that point in time. And because I was trying to find a way to get money. Well, the town finally agreed we had some money that had come to us way back in the day when the college moved, the town, kind of needed help.
Yeah.
And so some businessmen got together and they went out and they found a company, and now my mind's gone blank and I can't think what the name of the company was, over on Capitol Boulevard across from the shopping center. I can't think of what the name of the company was now. But anyway, they brought this manufacturing company here. And they owned the land. And so then when the manufacturing company left, this group of businessmen still owned that land and so forth. So they sold that land and they gave the town the money.
Okay.
Because the town had originally helped start it, So they gave the town the money. So we set that money aside as economic development money. Okay. So we had this little bit of money. So we gave Jerry $300,000, a grant for $300,000. The Golden Leaf Foundation actually gave him a grant it was about $900,000.
Oh, wow.
Because this chamber that they had to buy was very expensive. And so anyway, so they bought this chamber, installed it here in Wake Forest. There were only 3 chambers of this capacity in the world, and one of them was in Wake Forest.
Wow.
And so he set up his business in a way that was it was a nonprofit.
Okay.
Because he realized that entrepreneurs didn't have the money. But the thing that most of the testing was being done at universities or research centers. And if they helped somebody with the testing, then they would take some of the IP. And he didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so anyway, they have helped about 40 businesses get started. And it's probably more than that, but like 40 in this area.
Yeah.
Get started. The tech companies that needed some help like that. So,
Interesting.
He's somebody you need to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you would enjoy hearing his story.
Yeah. Huh.
And I'll give you the contact information.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, and there's so many things like that around here.
Yeah, well, there's so much going on, and and the Wireless Research Center started a program called Riot, which you may have heard of, but which is a consortium of business people getting together and talking about issues and working together. And they also have a pitch program and help people get started too. So there's a lot of that going on in this area.
That's good. You mentioned that it was a grant. Can you explain a little bit more about, like, I guess, what grants are and what kind of grants that Wake Forest offers for small businesses?
Well, we haven't really done a lot of that.
Okay.
Now we still have some of that money that.
Oh, interesting.
In fact, I was thinking about that the other day, and I thought I need to look into that a little bit more and see, exactly how much of that we still have, and because we used to, when I first became the mayor, we partnered with the Chamber for Economic Development. Mm-hmm. We actually paid part of the salary of the president of the Chamber, and that president then would work on economic development for the town. A number of years ago, I don't remember how many, but a bunch of years ago, we hired Jason Cannon to be the economic development director. And he actually formed, at our, when we said he could, of course, formed the Business and Industry Partnership.
Okay.
And so he's the president of that, and there's like a little board of directors that works with him on that. But so he's more into the, I stepped away when the chamber president was doing that. I remember the last chamber president that we had that when we were paying them some money for the economic development. Marla Akridge was the woman then. I don't know if you remember her or not, but she and I would go out and visit businesses. We would visit 3 or 4 businesses a month. Just say, hey, we're here. If you need anything, let us know. That kind of thing. When Jason came, that wasn't his way of doing things. So I didn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So he does the economic development, and I really don't get involved in all the stuff that he's doing as much unless he asks me to.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What about you mentioned an event that the youth get to set up a stand and be entrepreneurs and have their own little businesses. But the events in Wake Forest are something that attracted my wife and I to this area. Uh-huh. You want to talk about a few of the events, the major events in downtown?
The Wake Forest downtown has several events that they do. They do the, I was looking at all these last night. They do the Forest Fest. They do the,
the Meet in the Street?
Meet in the Street is a chamber event.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the chamber does that. That's a chamber event. They do the walking tours, the haunted
Sure.
spirits of Wake Forest. They do the lighting of Wake Forest at Christmas when we light the Christmas tree.
Oh.
We have a big Christmas tree in the plaza at Town Hall, but they're in charge of that.
Okay.
So they it's their event. I remember when we used to light a tree in the parking lot, the depot parking lot downtown, and the tree was so little that you had to be standing really close to it to even see it when it lit. It's really different now. We have this big tree, but they do that, and I can't remember the other. There are 2 other events that they do that they're in charge of.
Who does the Friday Night on White? That's
a town event.
Okay.
Now the Wake Forest. downtown staff has a lot to do with that. But Wake Forest downtown, the organization, does not do Friday Night on White.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's it, I guess along that same topic, what's it mean when people say that Wake Forest bought Main Street from DOT?
Oh, well, White Street.
Or White Street,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, White Street was a DOT road. But every time we did anything downtown, we would have to get permission from them to use the street.
Oh.
And so we just finally decided it would be easier for us to take over the maintenance of that street if we owned it, instead of having, and then we wouldn't have to ask for their permission. So we didn't buy it from them; they just gave it to us. They gave it. They're happy to give you a street if you'll maintain it.
Sure.
So that's why we didn't buy it, but they turned the ownership of it over to us.
Yeah.
But that happens, if there's a street that you want to own, you go to them and usually they're perfectly willing to turn it over to you.
Yeah.
Because then they don't have to maintain it anymore.
Whenever we first moved here, I guess that was about 10 years ago. We haven't lived here too long, but the events were rather small still. Like, you didn't spend much time waiting in line, and
Right.
it was pretty easy to move around. But now it's hard to go to the events sometimes. Some of the events.
Yes, it is.
What are some of the struggles that the town's had with that, and how it affects some of the businesses? And
Well, we have to be careful. That is one of the things that we have to be careful about, is not having too many events downtown, because although I will say this, Friday Night on White made a big difference for the businesses downtown. It really it brought people in who didn't even know we had a downtown.
Yeah.
And so they came for that, and then they saw these stores, and I know BJ's. They told me that after the first Friday Night on White, they didn't sell much that night, but they had people coming in all weekend buying things because they saw that they had them, and they didn't even know they were there till they came to Friday Night on White. So I think that events can have a big influence on the businesses downtown, but you have to make sure that you don't have so many that it can disrupt them too.
Sure.
So we try to limit that as much as we can, and so we revamped Owen Street a few years ago, the street that goes from Main Street, from White Street to the town hall.
Yep.
That street. And we named that Festival Street.
Okay.
Because we thought we can have events on that street.
Right.
And then leave White Street open. So you do have to have that balance of bringing people in or not bringing them in.
Yeah.
And it's been fantastic. I can't believe how many people come to Friday Night on White.
Yeah, that's gotten huge. Yeah.
And I understand they had a big bunch of people at Boo Bash this past Saturday.
Yeah.
Where the kids came downtown and got their treats for Halloween.
Okay. I know. Part of preparing for this interview, I went and talked to some of the small businesses that have been down there for a while, and I guess the general consensus is that the way the town's been handling the events has been good and constantly improving. So that was good feedback to hear. I know the only issue that they did mention was with, since everything's moved over to Owen Street, even when they're having events there on the weekends, the parking gets taken up
Oh, yeah.
on White Street, and that's not being monitored. But outside of that, everybody seemed generally happy about about the events and the effects from it. So.
Well, and we do have a parking deck planned, so we hope to get that done.
Is that still in the plans?
Oh yes. We it's been a little bit delayed because of interest rates going so high that the gentleman who was going to develop that corner lot and do the parking deck for us has held off a little bit, but that's getting ramped back up now. So we hope it'll come along, and we're going to need that parking when the train comes.
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people know about that either, that they just moved that house. They think that's where the train station's going to be going, from what I hear. What are the plans with the train?
Well, the train, the station will be in where the depot parking lot is now. Okay, so that will be where the station is.
Okay.
And we're going to have to address the parking.
Yeah.
But I'm told that we're still hopeful that the train station will be completed by 2030. So we're hoping.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a great thing for the town of Wake Forest, because when they're working on the tracks from the infrastructure from Raleigh to Wake Forest, and so there's still a lot to be done. But when all that infrastructure is done, the train that now goes, the Piedmont train, which goes from Raleigh to Charlotte, will come to Wake Forest. So it'll go from Wake Forest to Charlotte.
That'll be nice. Yeah.
And so that will, you can ride the train to Raleigh if you want to, but you can also ride it to Greensboro or any of those towns in between.
Sure.
Yeah.
I know my wife and kids like to do that. If they have a weekend free, they'll go hop on the train and ride it out to Charlotte or Greensboro or one of the small towns in between.
Yeah.
So, I think that'll be real good for the town.
I think it will be too. Yeah. But I think we're going to have some parking at that end of the town.
There's going to be some growing pains for sure.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
I guess one of the things that has been kind of an issue, in the perspective of business owners trying to find space in downtown, and I know some of the solutions are the different co-working spaces. We've had a small one down there for a number of years, and then they just did that revitalization of that old warehouse building and put in the loading docks, which you already mentioned, which is a really nice space. And they do a lot there. They host a lot of different events, and they're really involved with the chamber. And so I've been there a number of times. But the downtown area with some of the older buildings, it's been an issue where there's a lot of space not being utilized down there and not being properly cared for or maintained. And that's been a consistent, I guess, gripe that I've heard the whole time I've been here. I know we just interviewed the Jennifer Wood from the Burger Shop, and she was talking about her building, the Wilkinson building, I believe, being some renovations done that had needed to be done there for quite a while. Are there any changes in kind of regulations, or what's the town doing to try and help that situation?
Well, unfortunately, there's only so much we can do.
Right.
We don't own the buildings.
Sure.
And the only thing that we can really regulate is making sure that they are safe. The part that's being used is safe, and that the outside of it is safe. It's not going to, bricks are not going to fall off and hit somebody or something like that. We have an issue with owners of businesses, of buildings,
Sure.
not wanting to work with tenants who want to come. And that's been an issue for a number of years.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I mean, I don't know what I can do about that.
Right.
And I haven't figured out what I can do about that at this point. You know, I had someone recently who said, well, look at what Franklinton is doing. You know, they're doing all this wonderful stuff up there. Why don't you do that? Well, we can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, we don't own the buildings. So, unfortunately, that's all I know to say. I don't know. You
Sure.
know, we'll help in any way that we can. Unfortunately, the owners of the buildings are not really willing to work with people as much as they should in order to keep their buildings going.
Okay.
And that's been a pet peeve of mine for a long time.
I've heard that. Yeah, and that's one thing that it's like there's that blurred line where you got people saying, oh, the town needs to make people do stuff, but then you have private ownership and, you know, overstepping bounds into the property and all that stuff. And that's a hard line to walk.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's hard for property owners are not always willing to work with the people who want to rent the building, and explain to them what process they need to go through to get the building brought up to code or whatever needs to be done, and they just don't work with them that well, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the building owner will want the tenant to put a lot of money into their building,
Right.
and which is really unfair, you know. So it is an issue that we have in downtown Wake Forest.
And in case people don't know what we're talking about, it's, you know, a lot of the buildings on White Street in the main downtown area are older buildings and they're privately owned, and there's some buildings that have been vacant for years, like the one on the corner there, and then the upstairs of a lot of the buildings, there's a lot of unused square footage.
Oh, absolutely.
There's infrastructure issues. I know there's been some water and sewer issues, like different things like that from business to business. All the businesses there, almost all the businesses there are renting space from private owners. So specifically, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. And I actually lived downtown. I don't know if you were aware that or not. My sister and I lived above the frame shop downtown. There was an apartment there, and it was great. It was a great apartment. I mean, we had 12-foot ceilings and great big windows, and it was really neat.
Yeah, there's a few spaces that are fixed up nice. I know there's one popular Airbnb downtown upstairs above. I forget what shop it's above specifically, but I know quite a few people that have stayed there.
Yeah.
The area above the brewery is super nice. We had an opportunity to rent that space a while ago, but it didn't suit our needs.
Yeah.
So there is a few nice spaces, but a lot of unused space.
Absolutely.
Downtown, it's real estate seems to come up and go off the market before anybody even has a chance. So it's, you know, that's one of the things about a small town and a lot of family-owned properties and connections, and throughout the years that people get opportunities to buy stuff before other people can even, you know, throw their hat in the ring. I know that's happened to me a couple of times with a couple of properties downtown that I was interested in.
Yeah.
Along those same lines, I guess, I've heard from a couple people that some of the businesses on the side of town where like Holden Oil and Super Deal, which have both been downtown for quite a while, that they're gonna have to fix up the outside of their building, or there's gonna be some changes as that street continues to grow. Is that rumors, or is that
I think that's rumors. I can't imagine that. I would be very opposed to to that.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been there. If we want to gentrify that area, that's one thing. But I don't see. No.
Okay.
I would not be in favor of making them make any changes. I mean, that's not fair.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Again, with a smaller town, you get the rumor mill going, and
Exactly.
it's hard to know what
now
to
there
believe.
may be some issues when the train comes through.
Okay.
So they may have, that because the train, there will be some changes on the train tracks.
Okay.
So,
Is it going to be widening?
there will be a little bit of widening there.
Okay.
And there's a couple of places where they are straightening the track. There's a little bit of a curve, and they're having to straighten it because eventually they want the high-speed rail that's coming from DC down, kind of thing.
Oh, so they're trying to plan ahead for
So
that.
they're planning ahead for that. So they'll want to straighten it a little bit. But,
Okay.
So there will be some issues with those people along there, but it's not because we want them to look better.
Right. Right. I guess you've talked about a few different businesses today. Is there one local small business that you've seen do great things downtown that you'd like to shout out today? Or
Well, I think we've had 2 or 3 that have really stepped up and done some extra stuff. I think B&W Hardware is one that has done that. They've expanded their little hometown hardware stores are not that great you don't see that many of them
Right.
anymore. And I think I'm really proud that we have one in downtown that has been so successful, and bringing in the grills and those kinds of things. And I think that they have really brought a lot of business downtown because of what they've done. So I think they've done a great job. I think that
we're excited. Joe Kimray's coming on here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
So we're excited about talking with him.
Yeah, and I'm excited about Broadsides and Brews and how they fixed up that building. I mean, they that's a historic building, and they did all the things that they needed to do to restore it as much as possible to the way it was, the bones of it.
Which one's that?
It's Broadsides and Brews. Do you know where that is?
I don't.
It's
the only one I think of is Norse Brewery.
no, it's on on White Street.
Okay.
Broadside. It's the first, where the Fidelity Bank is.
Yeah.
And then the first building
okay.
beside that. They turned it into a brew shop, bar and brew shop, And but they restored the ceiling. They had the old metal ceiling, and I mean, they put a lot of time and money into that building, restoring it.
Right.
So you need to go in and look at it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go check that one out.
They actually won an award from the Capital Area Preservation Society for their work on that this year, and so they've done a great job. And then of course I think White Street Brewing really helped revitalize our town.
Yeah.
They were the first brewing company in Wake Forest.
Yeah.
But they did a great job, and everybody said, well, they're not serving any food. But it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And even with all the other brewing companies that have opened since then, they're still doing very well. And so I give them a lot of credit for. and they were very involved with the Friday Night on White.
Right.
They've been our major sponsor every time, and they were very involved in planning that and starting it. So, so, and then there's some other, little like Southern Suds. Those, there are quite a few that have really done some good things.
Yeah, I know, and I don't want to leave anybody out. I know there's a lot of great small
Unwind
business.
on White was great.
Yeah,
and
they fixed up that rooftop.
The rooftop, I mean, that added a whole new thing to the downtown.
Yeah.
So the businesses that we've had have really done well. Norse Brewing has been a great success. They've done a great job. Freddie's Bottle Shop down there, And I'm excited about the food hall if it ever gets open.
I know that kind of stalled out there.
But it will. So, and Black and White Coffee has done well too, and they're going to move to the food hall when the food hall opens, and so but because we have to use their space for the parking deck.
Is Shorty's the oldest business down there?
Oh yeah,
it's still open?
I think so. Oh well, they're definitely the oldest still open, but yeah, they. What was it in 2019? They celebrated their 100th anniversary.
Yeah,
I think
that sounds right.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just amazing. Still in the same family.
Yeah.
that is amazing. The first meal I had when we moved to Wake Forest was from Shorty's.
Oh, okay.
The gentleman who was helping us move, we were unloading the truck and moving into the apartment, and everybody said, "Well, it's time for lunch," and he said, "Well, I'll go down to Shorty's and get us some hot dogs." So he brought a bunch of hot dogs back from Shorty's.
You touched on a couple places fixing up in the brewery, winning an award. I know every town gets to kind of dictate how they handle the older buildings and stuff. How strict is Wake Forest on preserving the historic buildings?
Well,
and
our
homes?
downtown, the two block area of mainly of White Street is a historic district, and so when it is a historic district, you have to maintain it's mostly the outside that you have to maintain, that kind of thing. So you have to put in the right windows and all that when you fix it up. So there is quite a bit of requirements for the historic part, but you can also access some historic district funds for that from the national, from the federal historic, because it's a national historic.
Okay, so that's controlled nationally.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can access some funds for that because of it.
And then what about like South Main Street? I know that's mostly residential. Is that South Main, where all the historic homes are?
Right.
Is that a historic district as well?
Well, a little bit of South Main, mainly North Main.
Or I meant North Main, I'm
you
sorry.
mean North. There's a little bit of South Main, but mainly North Main. Yes, those are historic homes too. You have to. We have a historic district commission or a historic commission. So. Historic Preservation Commission is what it's called.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who actually monitor that.
Okay.
So you have to go before them and tell them what you want to do, and then they have to approve it or not, based on the regulations.
Yeah. I know they've done a good job, even with I don't know if they control it or not, but even the new homes that have been built on North Main still blend in with what's there, and they did a great job with that.
They monitor that also.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole area has to maintain that look.
I like it. What's the most underutilized resource you think in the area for entrepreneurs?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I think probably just talking with the town and Jennifer Herbert is a great resource for entrepreneurs who want to start a business. She knows all the people they need to talk to. But one of the things that if someone is starting a business, one of the things I recommend, first thing you do is go to inspections and ask them to come and look at your space and tell you what you're going to have to do. Because a lot of times people will just move in and then the inspector comes in and they say, you didn't do this and that and this, whatever. Yeah. And it's a whole lot harder to do it then than it would have been before. I know that was one of the things when my sister and I started our business. I don't know why we were so smart to do this. Maybe somebody told us, I don't remember exactly, but we asked the inspection department to come in and look at the building and tell us, what are we going to have to do to open a restaurant here?
Yeah.
And they were so helpful. I remember that one issue that we had was the restrooms. The restrooms were had to be made ADA compliant, and normally you have to do, I don't remember the details, but they said, well, you have to have access so that someone in a wheelchair can get in there. Mm-hmm. And these were small bathrooms in there. But what he did was he said, well, technically you have to do this, but because of the space, we can work with you and you can do something else that was a lot less expensive, and we didn't have to expand the space. And if we hadn't asked him to come in to start with and we had opened, then he'd have closed us down. But just they can be so helpful, and they will work with you to make it as easy for you as possible.
Well, I think that's a great point. A lot of people don't realize that. They see, all right, there's a business in a space. Now that business is gone. I should be able to just take my business and put it in there. What's the problem?
Yeah.
But there's so many things.
Yeah, but your business may be different. Yep. But also the rules may have changed. You may have the same business, but the rules have changed. So when a new business comes in, it has to be changed.
Yep.
And so, you need to have them check you out before you do anything.
No, that's a great point. And the inspectors will do that because, especially with the older buildings, there's certain things, as long as you're not making major changes, you can get away with not bringing everything to compliance. Yeah. But as soon as you start making certain changes, now everything has to be brought up to compliance. Exactly. And everything has to meet fire code. So there's some gray area that they can help walk you through.
Exactly.
I know I dealt with that whenever I was restoring Keith's store in Wake Forest. It was, we knew we could do certain things without having to really invest a lot of time and effort and money into it to make everything compliant.
Yeah.
Something as simple as the step. We had a 6-inch step up into the building, and there was no ramp access. But because it was a historic building or an old building, and we weren't making major changes or major renovations, the town let us get away, or the county let us get away with that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great point.
Yeah.
There's so many things that you don't think to, tell people, and that was a good one. I like that. What's one thing that you're excited about for downtown in the next 12 months? Is there anything big going on?
Well, I hope sometime in the next 12 months that the food court will open.
Yeah.
Because I think that will really make a difference. And I don't know of anything else that's happening downtown. As far as new stuff coming
Right.
on. I also, well, I do say this too. I also think that in the next 12 months or so, we'll see some movement on the corner property that the town bought. With where the parking deck's going to be built.
Okay.
That whole thing, I think, is going to start happening, because we have now we bought another little piece of property, that empty space where Cawthorn parks his cars. The town bought that property also, just recently, and so this building that the guy who's building the building on the corner, it's going to go all the way around.
Okay, that'll be good.
And so they're starting to work on the design of that now. So I hope some of that'll start happening in the next year.
Yeah.
Because I think that's going to be a big boost to
Yeah, that'll
downtown
help
when
a
all
lot.
that happens, because he's going to do all retail on the bottom and have housing on top.
Right.
And I'm excited about all the housing that's happening in downtown, because that really brings people
Yeah.
to downtown.
And those kind of spaces like you're talking about, where it's, retail and housing mixed, is really what a lot of towns seem to be pushing for right
absolutely.
now. That mixed use really allows you to get the most out of the property, the limited property that we do have.
Exactly.
If somebody wanted to see more specifics on like where you're talking about or what projects you're talking about, is there an easy way to do that?
Not yet.
Okay.
I don't even know I don't think it's on the website. We did have sort of a picture of, and it may be on the website, but I'm really not sure if it is or not. But it will be soon, but I'm not sure it's there now.
Yeah. I know one topic of conversation that started when Wegmans came in to the area, and now there's a big box store coming in, I believe, like a Costco, some other stuff coming into town, and some of the downtown businesses are worried about business being drawn away from downtown. And I know a lot of the steps that you're talking about taking are going to help, prevent that from happening or keeping that. Do you have any concern over that, about people being pulled out of downtown?
I really don't. I don't think that I think back when I was a commissioner was when Walmart came here.
No.
And I voted against it. Because, at that time there was all this controversy about Walmart taking all the business from downtowns.
Sure.
And we were at that stage, downtown was not growing, or it was just starting to grow, and I certainly didn't want, and I don't think that Walmart hurt Wake Forest downtown, when it came. I think our downtown is unique, and I think that we will continue to. The town is committed to making sure that our downtown stays, and so we're going to continue to have those events and those things that bring people downtown.
Yeah.
And I think things have changed in the world these days. I think that when those big retail things started, like Walmart and Costco and
Sure.
Sam's Club and those guys. I think when they first started, it did draw people from the downtowns, but I don't think that actually happens now as much, especially in an area like this, where in an urban area.
Yeah.
You know, maybe in a more rural area would, but in an urban
Especially
area.
with the growth that we've had in population and everything else. Okay.
I'm not concerned about that. And everybody wants Costco. I've been hearing that view. I don't want us to grow anymore. I want a Costco.
Yeah, I think every time they've cleared an area off US 1, that's the rumors start. There's a Costco going there. There's a Costco going there. No, there's not. But now they finally are.
Yep.
Yeah. Are there any metrics or any things that you watch specifically that tells you about the health of downtown as a whole, like the economy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't have any specific statistics that I keep track of, but I watch what's happening downtown, and a lot of times when I'm going somewhere, I will just, particularly like on the weekends or in the evenings, I'll just drive downtown just to see how many people I see walking, you know, and that kind of thing. So I really do pay attention to what's happening and the stores that are opening, and not only just downtown, but in other areas of town too. But specifically downtown, because I think when you have it's kind of interesting to me, because all these other towns, like Holly Springs, for example, Morrisville, they're trying to, and even Cary, they're trying to build downtowns because they don't have one.
Right.
You know, so it's nice that we have our historic downtown. So, and it really is the gathering place for the community, and so I think our events have made that even more true. So. It's been real important to do that. So I do watch that to make sure that things are staying that way.
Yeah. I mean, that's starting to be a common theme already with business owners that we interview that are in downtown or affiliated with downtown. It was the downtown that brought them into the area and solidified that, yes, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Exactly.
You know,
absolutely.
For me, it was the quaint downtown and the hardware store.
Yeah,
And, you know,
absolutely.
and then,
absolutely.
But then for my wife, it was the convenience of everything else being around here. So it's a good balance, I believe. All right. Well, I think we've covered most everything. Is there anything that I'm forgetting or anything else that you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I think Wake Forest is the great little town.
Yeah.
I still think of it as a little town. I'm really proud of the way it has grown and how we've solidified the downtown, the historic part. Remembering our history, I think, is very important as we go into the future.
Yeah.
It connecting both is what makes this really a unique little town.
We're excited about being able to spotlight some of these businesses that you're talking about.
I think this is great.
Yeah.
I was really excited when I saw this, and I haven't had time yet I watched part of a couple of your podcasts, and so I'm going to watch all of them because I'm excited about what you're doing here. I think this is it's great how you're highlighting what's going on here, and
I enjoy it. And every episode so far has been very, very different, and that's what makes it fun because everybody's experience is different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the way we like to end every podcast here is by definition, and the reason we do this is because once I figured out my own definition, it changed how I run my business and how we do our family life and everything else, and finding that balance. And it's how do you define success?
Oh, how do I define success? Well, I think for me, being successful means appreciating everybody who comes into my life and being willing to work with everybody and you know, I grew up, my parents were very involved in their community and very loving and kind, and I feel like if I can be have friends and express my appreciation and love for others in lots of different ways, that my life has been successful.
Awesome. I can't think of a better way to end it than that. So thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. This is it's been wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Great.